Neymar is called a disappointment, and that might be one of the biggest misconceptions in modern football. Because how do you label a player as overrated when his numbers scream elite level in every possible way? That's not opinion, that's a failure to understand football evolution, tactical intelligence, and what real impact actually looks like on the pitch. So here's the real question. Is Neymar overrated, or are most people completely missing the bigger picture behind a generational talent?
There's a...
I like Neymar, but I've never seen Neymar as a top player.
Yeah.
Like, as Messi, Ronaldo, in that category.
I'll be honest, there were moments when even I thought Neymar was overrated, especially in those games where you expect him to take over and he just disappears. Or worse, gets injured again. And in modern football, where consistency is almost everything, that kind of pattern sticks with you. He's like that guy in a pickup game, you know the one. Insanely talented, probably the most gifted player on the pitch, but you never really know what you're going to get. One day he's unplayable, pure generational talent, full of flair. And that unpredictability? It messes with how people judge you. And here's where it gets tricky. Because in the middle of this football evolution, people started valuing control, discipline, and tactical intelligence way more than raw genius. So when Neymar doesn't fit that perfect system player image, people question his big game mentality, his focus, even his football legacy. But maybe the real question isn't about inconsistency. Maybe it's about expectation. And that's exactly where the criticism from legends starts to make sense. And it's not just fans saying this. Football legends, players who dominated the elite level, have pointed out the same issues.
It could have been, but he didn't get to that place.
He was. I mean, obviously I played against him with Valencia. They beat us 7-0, and that front three was Neymar, Suarez, and Messi.
I know.
Lack of consistency, too many injuries, questionable decisions off the pitch. And look, they're not wrong. In modern football, availability is part of greatness. If you're not there, you can't impact the game. Simple as that. They also question his big game mentality. Not his talent, that's undeniable, but his ability to consistently deliver when everything is on the line. Because when you're labeled a generational talent, the expectation isn't just brilliance, it's dominance. It's defining eras, shaping football culture, building a football legacy that no one debates. But here's the uncomfortable question no one likes to ask. Are they analyzing the player or reacting to the character? Because Neymar doesn't fit the traditional image of discipline that this new phase of football evolution seems to worship. And if that bias exists, even subconsciously, then maybe the criticism isn't just about performance. And that changes everything when you start looking at the bigger picture. Now here's where the conversation flips, and flips hard. Because when you actually look at Neymar's numbers, it doesn't match the criticism. Not even close. We're talking about a player who, across multiple seasons, averages close to 1 goal contribution per game. In modern football, that's not just good, that's elite level production. And it's not just goals and assists. His dribbling success rate, among the highest. Chances created per game, consistently elite. Impact per minute played, off the charts. On platforms like SofaScore and Transfermarkt, Neymar repeatedly ranks at the top in offensive contribution. That's not narrative, that's data. That's tactical intelligence and game awareness translating into real impact. So now the question gets uncomfortable again. How can a player criticized so heavily produce like this? Because if you isolate performance, game by game, Neymar delivers at a level most players never reach in their entire football legacy, which forces you to rethink everything. Are we judging consistency the right way, or are we ignoring the bigger picture of what he actually does when he's on the pitch? Neymar is like that genius in school. The one who barely studies, jokes around, doesn't look locked in, and still gets one of the highest grades in the class. And let's be real, that doesn't inspire people. It frustrates them. Because in a world shaped by modern football, where effort and discipline are constantly glorified, raw brilliance without visible sacrifice feels wrong. And that's where perception starts to twist reality. Because when someone shows generational talent so effortlessly, people don't just expect greatness, they demand perfection. They want dominance, consistency, leadership, titles, everything at once. And when that doesn't happen, the narrative shifts from "he's amazing" to "he's wasting his potential." regardless of his actual elite-level output. And maybe that's why Neymar gets judged differently. Not because criticism becomes heavier, louder, and sometimes unfair, real. And in modern football, where rhythm and continuity shape a player's football legacy, being unavailable at crucial times hits hard. No excuses there. And yeah, the criticism about his decisions off the pitch? That's part of the conversation too. Because when you're at that elite level, everything you do feeds into how people judge your big game mentality. Fair or not, that's how football culture works. Image, discipline, focus. It all blends into performance in people's minds. But here's the line that changes everything. Neymar doesn't deliver less than other players. He delivers less than he could. And that's what frustrates people. Because when you see flashes of a generational talent with that level of tactical intelligence and game awareness, you start imagining what his career should look like in the football evolution. And that gap between reality and expectation, that's where the real conflict lives. And it's impossible to ignore when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The problem is the binary game anymore. It's context, roles, systems, tactical intelligence, game awareness. And depending on what you value, the answer changes. If you value consistency above everything, yeah, the criticism makes sense. If you value availability, discipline, control, Neymar will always fall short in your eyes. But if you look at impact per game, creativity, unpredictability, that raw generational talent that breaks defensive systems and reshapes football culture, then suddenly he looks like one of the most effective players of his era. And that's the shift most people never make. They judge him with one fixed lens in a game that went through massive football evolution. So the debate isn't really about Neymar being good or bad. It's about what you personally believe defines greatness at the elite level. And once you realize that, the answer becomes a lot less comfortable, especially when you start seeing the bigger picture. So let me leave you with this. Is Neymar overrated? Because in modern football, where football evolution changed how we measure impact, ignoring tactical intelligence, game awareness, and elite production says more about the observer than the player. And when a generational talent keeps delivering at elite level, even with flaws, maybe the real question isn't about his football legacy. Maybe it's about whether you're actually seeing the bigger picture. Answer this, no excuses. Is Neymar overrated, or did you just never understand a generational talent in modern football? Because if you ignore elite-level impact, tactical intelligence, and game awareness, you're not analyzing, you're copying narratives. So what is it? Consistency or genius? That answer defines his football legacy and exposes if you really see the bigger picture. Now defend your take in the comments. And if you're ready to stop thinking like the average fan, subscribe and turn on notifications.